Time Warner Cable is pleased to be an underwriting sponsor for Carolina Week.
Coming up, just what are these students protesting? We've got the story.
And we haven't heard from him in a while. Find out what Butch Davis has to say about the NCAA investigation.
In sports, the football team is in Blacksburg prepping for a Thursday night showdown with the Hokies.
All that and UNC football has a lot more in common with these dancers than you think.
Carolina Week starts right now.
From the James F. Goodman Studio in the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, connecting campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
That big tuition increase everybody's been talking about is under consideration tonight. Good evening, I'm Kathleen Whitty.
And I'm Preston Jones. The Board of Trustees is meeting and should make a decision one way or the other by tomorrow. But even before that decision is made, some students are fighting back.
Education is not for profit. Privatization.
Former UNC student Eva Panjwani is no stranger to student protest or tuition increases. She was there the last time the Board of Governors approved a tuition increase. That was back in the spring.
Looked me in the face and says, don't give up, there's a way. But you know what, y'all, I've looked.
She's looked for 3 years now for a way back into UNC. She dropped out for financial reasons, but tuition keeps going up, and she's still not back. Now Panjwani is joining with Students for a Democratic Society. The group met last week planning protest against tuition hikes.
We have heard, and I have with me here.
Meanwhile, student body president Mary Cooper held focus groups with more than 300 students.
They vary, that it's incredibly important that students know what's going on and they've had a chance to say what they think.
They drafted a tuition increase proposal reflecting their views. But Chancellor Thorpe says increases are coming to keep Carolina from losing faculty.
Faculty and employees have gone without a raise for 3 years.
Cooper and students packed the tuition task force meeting on Monday to share their views with administrators. Students protesting tuition hikes here on campus is nothing new. They were here in the spring, they're back in the fall. But the question remains, what comes from these protests, if anything at all? At least for now, President Cooper and student protesters are fighting an uphill battle. The Tuition and Fee Advisory Task Force approved a plan which calls for a 15.6% increase for in-state students. That's $800 more per semester. Out-of-state students could see a 6.5% increase, amounting to about $1,600 more per semester. Now, no matter what, Panjwani says she's not giving up.
I think giving up would be like, I'm not going to go to college, I'm not going to graduate. It just seems like a longer and longer amount that I'm giving myself.
Our university! Whose university? Our university!
Now, even if the Board of Trustees does approve the tuition hikes, the System Board of Governors has to approve them too. Butch Davis is speaking out.
There's so much misinformation out there that I feel I need.
Butch Davis is speaking out for the first time since he got fired, and he had a lot to say, but did he really clear anything up? He broke his silence in a YouTube video, and it got everyone talking. Reporter Andy Reeves has been looking into all of this. Andy, tell us, what are you hearing?
Well, Preston, I don't know how much Davis helped his case with this video. He did address some issues, but without any opportunity for feedback, he may have raised more questions than he answered.
Please keep in mind that neither the NCAA nor the university's investigation even suggested any wrongdoing on my part.
Butch Davis has finally broken his silence. He says he is trying to set the record straight in a 9.5-minute video posted on YouTube. He covered it all, including any misconceptions about his involvement in the Blue Zone.
So did I support the Blue Zone? You bet. But it wasn't my idea, and any suggestion to the contrary are just plain wrong.
On tutor Jennifer Wiley's impermissible academic help to his players.
I did not know about that failure, and I wish it had not happened.
On why some of his players racked up so many parking tickets.
The area where the players normally parked for practice was under construction, and the courtesy of not issuing parking tickets for the students attending practice had been eliminated.
On his refusal to release his private phone records.
As I have told the court, my concern is not that there is anything in my records. I have offered to show all of my records to a judge and let the judge review them in private.
On former assistant coach John Blake.
Did I know he had such a close relationship with a sports agent? No. Should I have known? I wish I had known.
And even on his firing.
I believe the decision to end my tenure at Carolina was the chancellor's alone. While I agree the chancellor was within his rights to do so, I have said that I do not agree with his decision.
Some response from Davis has been greatly anticipated. But why now?
Because he obviously still is hoping to coach and be a head coach in college and maybe the NFL again. And right now, this is not the kind of thing that helps your case.
Now, Davis says he released the video because the NCAA hearing has passed and fans wanted to hear from him. But it is widely believed that this video was not meant for the UNC community, but rather for potential employers.
Well, Andy, regardless of who this video was for, did this video do anything at all to repair Davis's image?
Well, I caught up with public relations professor Napoleon Byers to ask him that very question.
It's too long, really, unless you're doing Harry Potter or something like that. The audience is just not going to stay with it. In terms of public relations effectiveness, this video does very little for him.
Preston and I reached out to Chancellor Thorpe and former athletics director Dick Bedore for a reaction, but both declined to comment. And new AD Bubba Cunningham said he hadn't watched the video and was focused on the current football team.
Well, that's Andy Reeves live in the studio. Andy, thank you.
Towing has become a hot-button topic in town. Well, now residents have spoken up and changes could be on the way. We brought you this story 2 weeks ago on Carolina Week. Residents have been questioning towing tactics. Some even say it's predatory. Chapel Hill police are proposing a few changes to the town's current towing ordinance. Let's take a look at some of those major points. Let's see, under the new ordinance, businesses would be required to update towing signs on their property. Towers would have to notify police before towing any vehicle. And finally, the towing fee would increase from $100 to $125. The ordinance would also force towing companies to accept debit and credit card payments along with cash, but don't expect to see these changes anytime soon. The council won't vote on the ordinance until it meets again in February.
If you take the bus to class, you might want to get ready for a change in your daily routine. Officials with Chapel Hill Transit say they may have to cut entire bus routes because of the lack of funding. And the buses that continue to run might make fewer stops. The transit system is pressed for money after its request for a $14 fee increase was cut nearly in half. Officials think the smaller fee may jeopardize a longer-term revenue plan for the system they had in the works.
Well, the Occupy people are back in front of the old post office tonight, returning to a relative calm. That wasn't the case at the beginning of this week, as Chapel Hill police stormed a vacant building, rooting out Occupy protesters who had moved in.
7 people arrested. The number heard unclear at this point, but this is certain. Whether or not the police action was necessary depends on whom you ask.
This was the scene Sunday night. Protesters yelling obscenities at police and more. The crowd remained into the night, lambasting the American financial system, especially Wells Fargo, almost defining the Occupy movement with the action of authorities.
Who do they protect? Wells Fargo! Burn the prisons! Jail the cops! Burn the prisons!
Things didn't change much later in the week, as the town and police tried to answer questions. 20 police armed with AR-15 assault rifles raided the Yates building on West Franklin Street. Justin Jacobs lives and works in the area.
One of the officers yelled at me and leaned on my back and shoved his handgun into my back as I was laying on the ground. And I asked him if he was going to shoot me. And I believe at that point he holstered his weapon.
Chapel Hill Mayor Mark Kleinsmith defended the police and the action, saying they broke the law. They were breaking and entering. The government has to respond. Unlike some of the other Occupy protests around the country, the movement in Chapel Hill has been relatively peaceful. Authorities hope it stays that way. In Chapel Hill, I'm Erin Holcomb, Carolina Week.
UNC student Garrett Goodwin remains in custody tonight, suspected of robbing an area bank. And now authorities are saying he might be tied to a second bank robbery in Franklin County. Police arrested Goodwin late last week in Atlantic City. He's charged with robbing an Apex bank. Take a look right there at a photo from that robbery. Police say they'll arrest Goodwin for the second offense when authorities bring him back to North Carolina.
A lockdown at East Carolina University lifted tonight. Fears of a gunman on campus not true after all.
What was thought to be a weapon was in fact an umbrella. This uproar at East Carolina is just the latest involving guns, and we all remember Virginia Tech.
A shooter kills 32 students, and since then there have been calls to allow the carry of concealed weapons on college campuses. Beth Lawrence reports on the effort at UNC.
Students carry all kinds of things on campus. Book bags, cell phones. But guns? UNC student Jeremy Hodges thinks so.
We want people to feel safe by having handguns on campus. We don't want them to feel less safe.
Hodges helped start Students for Concealed Carry on campus at Carolina. The group is part of a nationwide movement with reportedly more than 42,000 members. North Carolina is one of 24 states with laws prohibiting firearms on campus. Department of Public Safety spokesman Randy Young thinks things should stay that way.
It makes it very difficult in the case of an armed incident or an active shooter on campus to tell exactly the active shooter from those who may be responding to the active shooter.
Grant Anastas King is president of the Tar Heel Rifle and Pistol Club and supports carrying concealed weapons.
I would feel safer. I think a lot of people would feel safer.
Hodges says he believes students would not only feel safer, but would be safer if firearms were allowed on campus.
Because we don't know who's on campus. We don't know if they're armed or not. And by banning all firearms on campus, all we're doing is preventing law-abiding citizens from having them and being able to defend themselves.
Earlier this year, a bill was passed in the North Carolina House loosening restrictions on carrying concealed weapons in parks and bars. But for now, there is no legislation affecting college campuses. In Chapel Hill, I'm Beth Lawrence, Carolina Week.
An Oregon State Court of Appeals recently ruled that the state's university cannot ban firearms on campuses. The Students for Concealed Carry group is hoping for a similar change in North Carolina.
Coming up, he teaches music now, but he used to play a very different role here at UNC.
Director of Carolina Week, and I am definitely a Tar Heel.
I'm Preston Jones, anchor for Carolina Week, and I'm proud to be a Tar Heel.
My name is Kathleen Whitty. I'm a reporter and anchor for Carolina Week, but most importantly, I am a Tar Heel.
I'm Carolina Week sports anchor Andy Reeves, and I'm a Tar Heel.
I'm Lindsay Hawkins, senior producer for Carolina Week, and I love being a Tar Heel.
If you keep an eye out, you might see a familiar face around campus. It's former UNC Chancellor James Measer, but he won't be heading to South Building.
Yeah, he's probably on his way to teach a class, and Amy Whitaker has the story of this former chancellor turned professor.
Former UNC Chancellor James Measer is a music man at heart. After serving as chancellor for 8 years, he finds himself sharing his passion with others, teaching music.
From the what we call classical music into the Romantic period.
He says being chancellor helped him become a better teacher.
That deepened my view of the importance of education, of the importance of a liberal arts education.
And Measer helped shape UNC's view of the importance of the arts.
It's life. I mean, art is the deepest expression of what it is to be human.
And to give students a place to express their art, Measer played a big role in the renovation of Memorial Hall. He took me inside the Art Center to show me some of his favorite parts.
This shape right here really has become sort of the symbol for Memorial Hall, which really comes from that chandelier.
In addition to the chandelier, he pushed for putting in new dressing rooms, a Carolina blue ceiling, and he enlarged the stage. He also showed me pictures of the construction that made Memorial Hall what it is today.
They've just completely ripped out the old stage house, and it's just open.
I'm standing behind that stage now. As you can see, it's all closed off. Workers made the stage wider and taller during former Chancellor Measer's term. Measer says improving architecture on campus was one of the most important things he did as chancellor, and Memorial Hall is his favorite renovation.
Because of what happens there, because it's where I come from. It's a performing arts.
And what good's a venue without great things happening inside it? That's why Measer created the Carolina Performing Arts program.
The Carolina Performing Arts, we moved the university toward being a really global university.
That's what he misses most about being chancellor, the opportunity to make permanent changes.
Most of all, the knowledge that in that job I could make a difference. I could actually make decisions that affected things.
Meeser says he's proud of the programs he created and renovations he spearheaded on campus, but he's happy to be back in the classroom. In Chapel Hill, I'm Amy Whitaker, Carolina Week.
Meeser teaches the first-year seminar, music and culture. He says he'll teach until he doesn't have the energy, but that won't be anytime soon. Did you know Tuesday was a national holiday? I did not. Well, we might not have had the day off, but the school still took a little time to celebrate. UNC celebrated America Recycles Day. It featured sustainability exhibits from campus groups, outside companies, and innovators. Chancellor Holden Thorpe also presented the biennial sustainability report. It highlighted achievements like recycling more than 1,600 tons of paper. That's enough to fill 38 dorm rooms. Students signed up for different coalitions and got information about sustainability on campus and in the community.
Changes might be on the way for UNC housing. South Campus could soon be saying goodbye to Odom Village. 2015 might mark the end for the on-campus apartments. Odom doesn't have fire sprinklers. Housing officials say the required installation, along with other necessary renovations, is just too costly, and they'd rather just replace the buildings. The planning process could begin as early as next year. And just in time for finals, a donation helps Davis Library extend its hours, and it's from an unlikely source. The Rams Club Athletics boosters donated $3,500 to the library, allowing it to stay open until 2 a.m. Monday through Thursday. These new hours will last until the end of the school year.
Well, we've heard it all before, the dreaded freshman 15. That is the weight we're all supposed to gain by the end of our freshman year. Well, we have good news tonight. Researchers say it's just not true. Carolina Connections' Rima Crace joins us live from the Reese newsroom. Rima, thanks for joining us.
How are you?
So, what did researchers find?
So, researchers found there was one researcher from Ohio State University and another from Michigan State University. And what they found is, like what you said, the freshman 15 is completely a myth. They looked at over 7,000 students nationwide, and they tracked them for the past 14 years. So they looked at their height and weight since 1997, and they found that the typical first-year freshman woman actually gains 3 pounds. The typical male gains just 3.5. But that's not to say that some students don't come back home to mom and dad a bit heavier than before. 10% of students actually do gain 15 pounds. But 1 out of 4 students actually lose weight.
And for that 10% who do actually gain the weight, why exactly does it happen?
You know, there are a lot of reasons. You go to the dining hall, Rams, Lenore, there's so much food. And so that doesn't help anything. And it's a new lifestyle, the transition's different. But he did say, the researchers, they said that the #1 factor for any major weight gain is usually alcohol. And that's not necessarily because they're drinking a lot, but it's because when you're drinking, your clarity goes away, and it might be late at night, and it's easier to just pick up the phone and order that late night pizza or go through Wendy's drive-thru. So that contributes to the weight gain.
An interesting point. Well, that's Rima Crace live from the Reese newsroom. Thanks so much, Rima.
Thank you for having me.
It's warm outside right now, but Preston, are you ready for it to get a little bit colder?
Yeah, you might have to pull out the jacket soon.
Oh no, well, we'll be taking a look at that weather coming up next.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Sean Miners, and thank you again for joining us at Carolina Week. The first thing I would like to draw your attention to this evening is the fact that we are in effect for a tornado watch currently, and that means that there are possibilities of conditions leading to tornadoes occurring in our area. That is lasting until midnight tonight for counties like Cumberland County, Durham County, Orange County, Chatham County, Johnson County, and our own Wake County. So you need to stay attuned for the rest of the evening into that. So we're looking at right now that the heaviest rain is still on its way. If you look outside and you think, well, it's just not going to happen yet, it's not necessarily true. We still have a chance to see some of the more heavier rain come into play, but we will see this warming spell also break. You might be enjoying those warmer temperatures outside right now, but that'll soon come to an end when we have this cold front move into our area. And also, we want to take a look at how we're going to have some nice clear skies for this weekend, and we're going to be able to enjoy some more fall weather after that. The first thing I want to show you now is a graphic that's showing our radar. We're noticing here that where these convective storms are occurring, and I actually took this radar image from this morning, so it's actually a little bit further progressed as of now. Right now, there are several convective storms occurring over Georgia, and so we're going to see these storms move into our area very quickly. Here's a surface map that's actually showing you where the location of this cold front is. And basically, this cold front is a barrier of cold air. So we're having cold air on the western side of the cold front, and on the eastern side, it's a little bit warmer. That's why the temperatures haven't gone down so quickly yet. So by tonight, the temperatures will start to drop a little bit, but we'll be seeing more precipitation there, which is highlighted by that green color. By tomorrow, the precipitation will slowly move out, and by evening, we may even have some partly cloudy skies. But for now, it's important to make sure you keep note and stay tuned for these weather updates. Right now, are going to be looking at temperatures for tomorrow in the highs for the mid-50s to upper 50s, temperatures like 46 in Boone and the higher elevations and 50 in Asheville. And then if you're going to be in eastern North Carolina tomorrow, we're looking at temperatures a little bit warmer. You can see 55 in our own Chapel Hill, 60 in Fayetteville, and 63 in Lumberton. So we will see those temperatures start to drop from where they were today. So we're looking at a low tonight of occurring over pretty much in the morning times. 52 degrees will be the low, and the rain will be off and on tonight, and it should be cooler. And then by tomorrow, we're going to see a high of 55, still potential thunderstorms out there, but the temperatures will start to cool down, and then we will see a chance for thunderstorms occurring possibly in the afternoon. So this is our 5-day forecast. We're showing you here some of the possibilities of warming going on by middle of next week, starting early next week with a temperature of 67 on Sunday and 68 on Monday. So really, I would say that it's important, though, to take note for those tornado watches. Tornado watches really just mean that there's a possibility of a tornado occurring. Right. Warning is when it gets more severe and you take more precaution into being careful and aware of that.
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you so much, Tom. Coming up, what do the Radio City Rockettes have in common with UNC football?
We have that story next.
Foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm Ciara Watkins. The football team is in Blacksburg right now, getting ready to take on division leader Virginia Tech tomorrow. You might remember when these two teams played last year, the Heels took the early lead right here. You see on the Anthony Elsie touchdown, only to be pummeled by Tyrod Taylor. Here you see him with the long completion, and the Hokies in the second half of that game. But Bryn Renner and the 6-4 Heels should be well rested coming off of their bye week. Renner, who left the North Carolina State game with a concussion 2 weeks ago, is expected to start. And of course, if the Heels want the W, Bryn Renner will have to be on will have a big role in that game. His sister won't catch the action though, because she'll be doing some fancy footwork of her own. Lindsay Hawkins has the story.
The spotlight shines on UNC quarterback Bryn Renner with each completed pass.
The spotlight shines on his sister Summer, literally. Summer kicks up her heels with the Radio City Rockettes. Has for 3 years, following a dance career at Florida State. She competed for the spot against up to 800 dancers. Right now, the group is performing at the Durham Performing Arts Center. This gives Bryn and his family the chance to see her in action since they moved from Virginia to Chapel Hill about a year ago.
With the spirit, you feel on the rise. Even taxi horns seem to harmonize.
Kind of just taken back by what she does. It's an awesome show, and I really enjoyed it.
And Summer supports her younger brother in every way she can, too.
My friends laugh at me because I come in decked out every Saturday with my Carolina gear on, and I have my iPad and I'm watching the games whenever we have breaks and stuff. So it's nerve-wracking too because I'm, doing my job, but I'm still kind of worried about him too.
And although both compete in athletic worlds, their relationship is quite the opposite.
We grew up being really, really close.
Best friends since I was little.
I talk to him every day. We both are really a comfort for one another when he's going through things and I'm going through things.
Just leave each other little voicemails or texts or even emails, so we just try to correspond anyway.
But they still have fun telling embarrassing stories about each other.
He started crying because they took him to the doctor and they said he was only going to be 5'10".
I looked at my mom and said I'm not going to be able to see over the line. And so I started crying and made a huge big scene, didn't talk to anybody for a week.
Luckily, Bryn can see over the line and Summer's tall enough for the kick line. Their parents couldn't be prouder.
So, we're fortunate that our two kids have found something they really love to do, so it's very, very enjoyable watching them do what they love to do.
And both found their passions at a very young age.
My mom said I would get up in the crib and start dancing around.
I would get 11 crayons and then just smash them together and just think they're hitting each other, so it's really embarrassing. So.
Embarrassing or not, the young interest and sibling support has paid off both on the field and the stage. In Durham, I'm Lindsay Hawkins, Carolina Week.
Now Summer and the Rockettes will be performing at the DPAC through November 27th. Back to Carolina sports, the men's soccer team earned home field advantage and the top seed in this year's NCAA tournament, which kicks off this Thursday. With the first round bye, the Heels won't see action until Sunday when they host either Elon or Coastal Carolina. The Heels rank second in the NCAA in goals scored. Here you see a bunch of them, a trend they look to continue into postseason play. And here's the bracket. You can see that Carolina has definitely put itself in prime position for the championship run. Switching sports, the women's basketball team is set to take on UNC-CH tonight. The ladies are 2-0 after opening the season this weekend very convincingly. Tip-off is in just about an hour and a half over at Carmichael Arena. And Preston, we've just got word that a sophomore on the UNC baseball team was arrested this weekend for underage drinking, resisting arrest, among other different things, and he has actually been released from the team. So we just found that out.
All right, well, we'll look for more on that on Monday.
Great.
Thank you, Sierra.
Up next, what are they digging for outside one UNC building? We'll have the answers coming up.
If you have a story idea, call Carolina Week at 919-843-8292 or email us at carolinaweek@unc.edu. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNC-CH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina 27599. Be sure to check out Carolina Week and Carolina Connection online at carolinaweek.org.
The pain will not control us. It will never break us, define us, or keep us still. Because arthritis can't beat us if we beat it first. In the fight against arthritis, you need a weapon. What's yours? Visit the Arthritis Foundation at fightarthritispain.org.
If you've walked by Battle, Vance, and Pettigrew lately, you might wonder what is going on. Archaeologists are digging for treasures from a day gone by, the 1700s to be exact. During renovations this past year, a well was discovered, and archaeologists think it dates back to when a home was on the site. Researchers are discovering hints of the past, nails and pieces of pottery, for example. They've been hammering away since Monday, and they plan to work through the weekend. And you know, Chapel Hill is such a historic place, you never know what you're gonna come across.
You really don't. An even older well might be out there. Well, thanks. That does it for this edition of Carolina Week. Thanks for watching. Good night.